I'm Marlo from Wild Food UK. It's the 30th of April today, and I'm here with my founding partner member of Wild Food UK, the incredibly camera shy Eric Begain. And I've got Eric finally to do a video that we've been wanting him to do for a couple of years. So what are we going to make today, Eric?
Today we're going to make Methaglin, or Mead, Dandelion Mead, because it's got other ingredients added to it. It's called Methaglin.
Methaglin, right, that's a new word on me. You're already surprising me. And the wild ingredients in this, what are we going to use?
We're going to use dandelion, and for the really kind of the thing that takes the sweetness off the mead, because mead's a bit too sweet, we're going to use Douglas fir needles.
And do you have to use Douglas fir needles?
No, you can use any needles except for yew.
Okay.
Yew tree needles, which don't smell, luckily.
There's a yew tree, everyone, by the way. Never use yew tree needles for anything edible. They are highly toxic. I think Eric and I can both agree that if you're not using Douglas fir, our second favourite ingredient or needle-like ingredient for this sort of dish, and almost anything really. We make a really lovely shortbread with it as well, is the grand fir. If you can ID a grand fir, it's got a lovely grapefruity smell to it. Today we're going to use Douglas needles for this. We're not going to insult you by telling you how to identify your dandelions, but I've done a few videos including dandelions recently, and I have left out the scientific name, Eric. So could you furnish everyone with that?
It's Taraxacum officinale.
There you go. So we're going to make a what was it called again?
Methaglin.
Right, okay, a methaglin. There's one other ingredient, as discussed, that we're going to go and forage for quickly, but I've got enough dandelions in my garden today to make our methaglin. So we'll go and get the other ingredient, and then we'll get in the kitchen.
And here it is, the Douglas fir, Pseudotsuga menziesii. We're going to use this one today. It's got some great tasting needles, and on top of that, it's the easiest fir to identify, which you can do by looking at the cones. Now, I've got a cone here. Now, these will be either on the tree or lying around the tree all year long, and you can see these almost tassel-like bits, kind of look like the rear end of a mouse. They're called mouse tails. If you can find cones with these mouse tails on, you know you have Douglas fir. You don't have to use Douglas fir. There's other fir trees. They've all got edible needles. They've all got citrusy taste to them. We just happen to have this one nearby today, so that's what we're using. Now we're going to collect some up, go back and start the methaglin.
So we're back in the kitchen now, and Eric is going to show you what you need to have around you and how to make dandelion methaglin.
That's the one. If you want to come over and I'll point out the bits that we've got on here. So first of all, one I prepared earlier, this is the dandelions we picked. I picked about 1 litre of dandelions, or enough to fill a litre tub, and then just poured over boiling water and left them to steep overnight. That's what we've got from there. Got about a cup full of Douglas fir needles. So again, it's not too important, the ingredient amounts, but there's about a cup of needles there. I've also got 1 lemon, some ginger that I've chopped up. It's about the size of my thumb, that kind of size. Also got yeast, which is very necessary for making it. Demijohn, airlock and bung. And just for ease, we've got a teaspoon, a thermometer. You'll see why we've got the thermometer in a bit. Sieve and a funnel. And honey over here.
And
it's quite important.
Honey, yes, one of the more important ingredients. And the demijohn and everything else that we've used has been sterilised as well. We don't want any extra different bacterias or yeasts getting into this. So what's the first step? You've already blue petered up the dandelion flower heads, so what do we do next?
Well, what you want to do is get the flavour out of the needles and out of the lemon and ginger. So you've just got a pot on the boil here, it's getting towards boiling, And I've already squeezed the lemon, but we'll throw those bits in as well, and the ginger. And the needles, I actually want to just to release a bit more out of them, give them a bit of a bash and a pestle and mortar before I add them.
Don't forget the lemon juice.
Oh, yeah, it's important. And then really we want to leave this just to boil for a while, just so it infuses the flavours. And while we're doing that, just going to strain the dandelions. It doesn't look all that savoury.
Yeah, that is not the yellow colour I was expecting from dandelion infused water, but that's normal.
It's completely normal, and the mead will end up a golden yellow colour.
It's quite an aroma coming off of that, isn't there? What's
like field hay meadows or something.
It does. Like you're absolutely right. It smells quite a lot like fresh cut hay.
I'll get rid of that.
And that brown liquid there is how it should look.
It is, yeah. Even though it's unappetising, that is how it should look. Now really, we just want to wait for this lot to boil, and I'll strain it out and carry on.
How long would you let that? Because we're letting the flavours infuse there. So what are we talking? Maybe 20 minutes, half an hour?
Not even that. 5 minutes.
Right. Okay.
5 minutes is fine. Just so that it gets hot enough, the flavours come out.
And then when the flavours have infused, temperature is quite important, isn't it? So we've got to take it off of the heat.
We'll strain this so it's just a liquid, and then we want that to go down to less than 52 degrees centigrade. And that way, I'm actually using raw honey from a beekeeper, and that way you'll keep the essential flavours and everything in. There's nothing wrong with heating up honey. There is rumours about it being dangerous. It's not at all. It's just that you'll lose the flavours. So if you keep it under 52 degrees, you keep all those flavours. If you're using cheap honey from the supermarket, it's already been pasteurised. Doesn't matter about the temperature.
Right.
You're not going to lose anything. But this is pure raw honey. We want to keep it as sort of nice tasting as we can, not boil off the flavour.
So now we've got about, 20 minutes, half an hour to wait, by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, I'm going to open your last year's batch.
Okay, that's been boiling for a while, I think. You can smell the needles there. Nice strong smell of that.
Yeah, God, it's such a shame we haven't got smell-o-vision, because that has got a lovely aroma, a citrusy aroma from both the Douglas fir needles and the lemon that's in there. So we'll take that off the heat, is that right now?
Yeah, actually might as well stick it in this bowl. We want to sieve out the needles and things. Way above 52, so we just need to leave this to cool down now. Okay, whilst this is cooling, we're going to just prepare the yeast, which for something like 5 litres, which is about what you get in a demijohn, you just want a level teaspoon of yeast. That's plenty.
What sort of yeast is that?
This is called super yeast, but the fellow who sells it to me says that they're all the same, all the yeasts, whether it's wine yeast, cider yeast. Doesn't really matter, as long as it's alcohol yeast, not bread yeast. That's the only important thing. Oops, there we go. It's about a level teaspoon. And just to help get that started, get it working while we're waiting on everything else, just add a little bit of honey. And it's lukewarm water I've got here, so that'll help get the yeast going. Okay. And then really, just got to wait for that to cool down now. Below 52 degrees now, it's time to add the honey. Luckily this is very, very liquidy honey, but sometimes you can get it very solid as well. Of course the temperature is going to go down from adding the honey, but as long as it dissolves, that's all that's important.
How much honey was that?
Oh, that would help, wouldn't it? 1.5 kilos of honey. And it depends what you want out of the mead. This should be somewhere about 10% to 16%. The more honey you add, the stronger it will be. Obviously the yeast can work on more sugars that way. And we'll see if this will dissolve in this. Might need to warm it again. To say the honey will have brought the temperature right down.
We'll get that pot back.
Yeah.
Right, that honey has pretty much all dissolved into the water there. What do we do next?
Put everything in. Put everything into the demijohn. Here we go.
So this goes into...
Not yet. No, we want to make sure that that's cooled down to body temperature before you add the yeast.
Oh, okay.
And when you're adding the dandelion water, there will be some sort of scum, I suppose you can call it, at the very end. So I never pour the whole lot in. You can probably see in the bottom of the jar as I get lower. There's been bits of grit and things that might have been on the flowers. That'll do.
Okay.
I'd actually say it's a little bit warm yet before we add this. You want it kind of body temperature.
Right, I get you. Well, that gives you just enough time to clear up the sticky honey mess that you just poured all over my shirt.
There it is.
Right, so we've got a two-tone demijohn here. What's going on?
It's just the dandelions sitting on top of the denser honey water. But that will get mixed in when I put the yeast in. If it doesn't, I'll give it a quick shake and a stir anyway.
Okay.
They're just not mixed together yet.
Now, it doesn't feel very warm to the touch. That means it must be about the same temperature as my hands, which means that it's about body temperature.
No, that's fine. So we'll just add the yeast with a little bit of honey in it.
Oh, it's not two-tone anymore.
Not as much.
Looks like it's all mixing together.
I'll give it a help anyway. There we go.
Looks quite murky.
It does. That will clear completely. That'll be a beautiful golden yellow, as you can see there.
It'll end up looking like that.
I'm just going to put a little bit of water in there, look, stick the bung in, and that's done.
Right, so this is now take 9 or 10 on the final part of this video, and I'm starting to feel a little bit tipply. So, Eric, how alcoholic does this get?
Somewhere between 10 and 16%, just from the amount of honey we've added and the yeast. If you want to know accurately, you need a hygrometer, which you put one in now, take a reading, wait till it's finished, take another reading, and that will give you the percentage. I've never used one, it's about 10 to 16%.
Which makes it a lot stronger than the elderflower champagne that we make.
Very much so. And the elderflower champagne is still a live yeast in the bottle, whereas all the yeast would have been used up on this, so there's no fizz. So you don't need a pressurised bottle or anything for it.
It's not one of those where you have to use plastic bottles in case of explosion.
Not at all, no.
No. And where should I store this?
Somewhere warm and out the sun. It's
Okay.
the best place. You don't really want sun on anything that you're brewing. So somewhere warm and out the sun.
When you say warm, you just mean like room temperature. You don't mean like.
Yeah, no, don't
I
put
don't
it
want to
in
leave
the
it by the Arga.
Definitely not, no. No, just somewhere, somewhere room temperature and out the sun.
And 2 or 3 months or so.
Yeah, till it's clear. Sometimes it's quicker, sometimes it takes longer. You never know.
Till it looks like that.
Exactly, yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, I think me and you should go and enjoy the rest of last year's batch.
I'm up for that.
And until then, if you want to find out more,
Go to wildfooduk.com.
cheers everyone. And please drink responsibly.
Even though I've cleared it up, we're probably going to have a sticky floor for a little while, I'm afraid. But